Lee, I'm jumping over to you first. How you feeling after yesterday's win?
Honestly, for the first time in a while, I did not have to stress once in a game. And honestly, I forgot the last time that has happened, so I feel great.
Yeah, amen to that. Buga, what about you, sir?
No, like I said at the start, behind the scenes, like this is the best I've seen Barca play in a while. Of course, Real Valladolid were like god awful. Like let's be honest, they played really bad. But the thing is that at the end of the day, 7-0, you just want that sort of good vibes for the rest of the international break. I think it's been a while since Barcelona had that sort of feeling where the camp, everything is united. We are all wanting the players to do more, and we are just getting behind the project. And I think that's exactly what Barcelona need. Let's just hope the season is very long, so we need to remain consistent, and we need to continue backing the team like we're doing right now, right? I think that's the most important thing, especially for everyone listening, all the community members that we have or whatnot. Just keep it calm, keep it cool. We're doing good things. Enjoy the present moment because next game might be different. Just enjoy the 7-0.
No. I don't want to keep it calm or keep it cool. We're back, baby. We're back. This is the best Barcelona I've seen in years. It was not just the scoreline, right? Because under Xavi, under the previous couple managers, we've had some 5-goal games, right? But not like this. This was fun to watch the entire time. Yes, we had a couple of lucky goals here and there. Yes, Valladolid were pretty trash, but the joy, the vibes, like you said, Buga, it's all there. And I think another thing that I noted, not just in this game, but in the first few games, the players are talking to each other way more frequently. When we get the little cooling breaks, when we get a substitution here and there, you can see each line, the attackers, the midfielders, the defenders coming together a lot more, communicating. I think Hansi Flick really implemented a mentality there of communicating, playing together, having fun. Lamine is dancing with everybody who scores a goal now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Barcelona. It's very exciting times. So no, I will not calm down, Buga. What were some standout performances though? Because we had 7 goals, right? We had Raphinha with his hat trick, Lewandowski got one, Jules Koundé got one, Dani Olmo, Ferran Torres even getting on the score sheet.
My guy.
Yeah, Leah, I want to go with you first. Who stood out to you in this one?
It was Raphinha. I feel like, listen, like I always wanted to back up Raphinha because I saw the potential in him, and I feel like the way he was being used, you saw glimpses of it like last season. But I feel like overall, when it comes to Raphinha, he may not be the best dribbler, he may not be the best when it comes to 1v1s, but it's the runs he makes and the direct play that that's his style of play, and it just works so well under Hansi Flick.
I'm into it. Buga, Raphinha, left wing. Is he settled in there now? Is that where we're going to see him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have no other left winger, but we don't need any other left winger. That's the thing, because Raphinha is absolutely crazy. I think that not only is he, I think, for me, one of the most involved players in the team, because I really like that, how he runs for every ball, everything he does. I think it's absolutely insane. And every ball he touches, at least I know he's going to give it 100%. And I think that's very important to see. And like I was saying, back of the last game, for me, the best game Raphinha had before this one, of course, was that first leg against PSG last campaign in the UCL. And I was saying, these moments, at the end of the day, you need moments like this so that not only Barcelona fans, but the rest of football, Europe can start to appreciate you. And I think that that's going to be happening with Raphinha a little bit more. And I think it's perfect also that he wasn't called up for Brazil in this international break, because he's just becoming a key player, and we cannot afford a player like him to get injured. Like at the end of the day, he's probably one of our most creative players, if we want to say like that, alongside Lamine Yamal. They're just making a very good front three, I think, this trio.
Yeah, I think we're settled in for that front three. And again, maybe we'll get to some depth chart conversation towards the end. For me, Dani Olmo is stealing my heart. He's absolutely won me over. Like, I admittedly did not watch him much being in Bundesliga. I watch a lot of Premier League. I watch a lot of the Liga. I watch a lot of the Serie A, actually, but I don't get around to Bundesliga much. So I'd see him in Champions League. I did watch him in the Euros, so there was some hype around it, but I was skeptical. I did not know that he was going to come in and ball out like he's been doing. What have you two been feeling in terms of him performing with his expectations? Above, below, like where are you at?
I feel like with Dani Olmo, I knew that he was a good player. I feel like the only issue I feel like a lot of people had doubts about is his injury record. But aside from that, he's a good player. Like, I don't know why people were getting really dramatic in regards to, oh, he's not a player that Barcelona need, when he is a player that suits Hansi Flick's style of play. And if you really think about it, like, him and Raphinha could both play as cams, and they both could play on the left wing, so they could kind of switch in between games. So it kind of works out, it balances.
Yeah, I think that's actually what Leah just said is important. Like, when you actually look at the heat map of the game, because, you know, I'm a little bit nerd like that. I started looking at Raphinha, and Raphinha, like, never really touches the left flank as much as we actually think he does. It's more Alejandro Valde. It's like we actually playing with 2 10s. It's Dani Olmo, it's Raphinha. Both of them interchange. Both of them know how to play and those positions. And for me, the thing about Dani Olmo is I haven't seen this in a while. He's just such a simple footballer where every ball he touches, he does exactly what the move requires you to do. Like, either pass the ball, drift it wide, dribble past a man. He's just so simple, but also so silky in the way he doesn't do like skill moves for the sake of it, like a Vinicius. He like grabs the ball and actually like use it to his advantage, and he actually does it for the play. And I think that's incredible. And also the progression that he does is every single pass he does is he's thinking forward. He's actually thinking forward. We never see those. Well, of course, you're going to see those side passes. But what I mean is that every ball he gets, he wants to progress the play forward. Either pass it to a man who's open in behind his mark, or someone out wide. He always does the correct pass. He always chooses the right decision. And for me, that's just so important. And having him as a number 10 for this team is just precisely what we needed. Like, at the end of the day, we have plenty of players that can play there, but for this system, being that sort of shadow striker to Lewandowski and finding those gaps of pace, he's perfect for that. So Dani Olmo, really, I think he will be a tremendous like tool for Barcelona this season if we can keep him fit. Like, that's for me the only thing. If he can have a full season, my goodness, Dani Olmo is gonna take us somewhere else, because he's really playing, like, he's balling out there. He's really, really his top player.
Yeah, there's something about his decisiveness. Like you said, like, he is thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead. And I'll say we now have a few players that are demonstrating what I'll say, like, the difference for me between going from good to great is when you're looking at the attack. A good player can consistently perform and take what the defense gives them, right? But great players force the mistakes. They put the defenders where they want them. And Dani Olmo is one of those players, like a Lamine Yamal, like a Raphinha when he's at his best. Maybe a little bit less so, but it's creating opportunities that we weren't seeing under Xavi, that we weren't seeing for the last couple of years, where he's done it twice now. Those little just tucking it in to the side netting there. I'm loving what I'm seeing, and I think it's gonna get interesting when we have a fully fit squad to see what we go with. But another point that you brought up, Buga, that I think is interesting is the fluidity. It's not just Dani Olmo and Raphinha, but really just about anybody besides our center backs and our defensive mid is open to move wherever they want. And I think it's creating exciting football. It's fun to watch Barcelona again.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about when Flick arrived that we were going to say that I feel actually Flick's teams, the midfield, don't generally have the main spotlight. You know, the main part of the game are not going to come through there. And that actually suiting us at the moment where we don't actually have the most, we don't have the best midfield. We have plenty of injuries in that position. And we take a look at Cubarsí, for instance, a player who just loves those long balls, those through balls, and we are like boosting him as a player. You know, we're making him better, and we're getting the best out of Lamine Yamal, Raphinha, Dani Olmo, these attacking players. Lewandowski just being the poacher that we all know him to be. And it's like, I think perfectly what Flick's system that he incorporated in Bayern Munich is fitting perfectly with his players and the sort of players that we have at this current moment. So we're just getting the best out of what we have right now. And for me, that's precisely what a manager needs to do when it comes to a situation like this. And it's a little bit different that Barcelona has always done. You know, Barcelona always has been sort of like, this is the way we play. You have to come and work like we want you to work. But Flick is being given that sort of freedom. And I think that works in a way because Laporta knows this is his last bullet. Like, if he wants to be president next time around, Flick needs to work. And that's precisely what he's doing right now. I really am liking this team. Everything from, have you seen that now when the players arrive to the stadium, they do not wear like street clothes. They have to wear like training kits.
I'm kind of gonna miss Koundé's fashion, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
But like for things like that for me are just like, yeah, you're the great manager. You know, just things like that. I love like the cohesion, the sort of team building, things like that. Just simply just putting everything in the same kit, I think works. I really do think it works.
I will say that Xavi, at some times, you did see him try and like use the direct style of play. However, the way Flick has implemented it is that you see players going more centrally, and that just wasn't the case under Xavi. And like in addition to that, like it's just the physicality and intensity. And that's not to say Xavi was bad, because Xavi gave us some great moments as well. He literally won the league back in the 22-23 season. But it's about like the lack of experience there. And I feel like the players just understand the communication better under Flick in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I almost think I wonder how much was Xavi trying to micromanage, trying to have every player follow the instructions down to the T, a la Pep Guardiola. And I think Flick has gone more of a philosophy and then said, but go have fun, go express yourselves, be free in the play. Whereas I think the players seem so nervous under Xavi to do it exactly how Xavi told them, that you felt that tenseness. It feels like it's gone now, you know? And that is not to knock Xavi. That is how he played. That's how he managed. So I think, you know, side point, but I think Xavi getting some experience outside of Barcelona will do well for him. But what Hansi Flick has brought, I think, has been pretty special. I missed the last episode, so I did not have to have my grieving moment of Bernal and his injury. ACL tear, surgery. I think he went through the surgery already, right?
No, I think it's scheduled for this week, I heard. That's what the journalists are saying.
Fingers crossed that is a successful surgery, but he's looking at 10 to 12 months out. Casa, though, stepping up for this match. What do we think of him?
I like Casado. I feel like, for me, like, Bernal is more of like a Rodri Busquets kind of combination profile, if that makes sense. And then Casado is definitely more of like a Kimmich profile, and we know that Kimmich is a good player, but sometimes defensively he has his faults. I feel like the difference between Bernal and Casado, the biggest one, is that Casado is definitely more aggressive, whereas Bernal is much more calm. But even like during the Valladolid game, like you saw Casado being very calm as well, like when he was under pressure. So I think it's just a matter of like depending on like what the game is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what are your feelings?
I think Casado is a player that Flick's gonna mold a lot. Like Leah was saying, like he's very similar to Kimmich in a way. I think he's just gonna be the player that Flick molds into what he actually really wants. I think we're overlooking the fact that I think he's a little bit more of an engine than Bernal, and actually for I think what Flick wants to do, I think it fits a bit better. I would expect actually Casado to continue playing even if we get Frankie de Jong and Gavi back. I think it's going to be Frankie, Gavi plus Casado maybe. I don't know how much of Flick is going to go into Gavi, because Gavi we know also has that sort of engine about him to cover up a lot of space and ground. So I don't know how much he's going to like drill into that, but if he doesn't and he wants Gavi for a little bit more of creativity, then I think Casado will maintain his spot in the starting 11 for a while. I think he's one of those players that Flick initially really liked from the preseason, so I would expect him to become a sort of regular for Barcelona moving forward.
Yeah, I'm tempted to just jump right into the depth chart conversation because I feel like that's where we're going. But
let's just do it. You know,
okay, let's do it then. Because anything else from this match that stood out or that we need to discuss?
Yeah, Lewandowski, because if you look last season, I feel like there was definitely a lack of communication, and this season he looks like he's like relived, like I don't even know, like he's like a new player, like with Pedri, with Olmo, with Lamine, with Raphinha. There's just so much communication, and it just works. Like we're seeing a Lewandowski that we wanted to see last season, and if he continues performing this way, I have like no complaints if Barcelona decide to keep him for like an additional year or so.
Oh wow, you're looking that far ahead.
Well, because we have like Paul Victor and Vitor is currently on loan, and they're young, and I like don't really want to rush them because like we don't really have anybody that's like right in between the age gap, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I am very curious to see what happens with Vitor Roque. Like I was pulling for him, I was rooting for him. He just, for me, he never really got his legs. It seemed like he was always a little bit off tilt. Maybe he needed more time, this or that. I'm hoping that he'll get it at Betis, and maybe we'll see what happens for next year. But
Didn't you hear he's about to vacunar Real Madrid? He's about to score a hat trick against them in like about 2 hours.
I looked at the clock. I was like, "Wait, are they playing right now?" No, it's not. It's not up for a few hours. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know. I haven't looked at the squad. Do you know if is he
No, I actually don't know. I may
set to
have
start?
just beat the most irrelevant stuff ever. But talking about Lewandowski, while I search the lineup for those,
Yeah.
I think Lewandowski, like I've always looked at him, and I think he's more than just a footballer. Like I think he comes from. I always said this, like he's like an athlete, and I think like that's a little bit different because you look at him, the way that he prepares his body, the way he takes care of himself, and I feel that helps you to sort of elongate and stretch your career a little bit further. That's a fact given. So for me, Lewandowski, if he can just be that sort of poacher, like I don't want I said it before in different podcasts. I don't want Lewandowski to think he's Harry Kane. He's gonna drop deep. He's not gonna do like a Silks like right now against United. You know, he's not gonna drop in deep between the midfielders. No, you're just a very bulky, good finisher. Go in the box, stay there, and score goals. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think that Xavi asked too much of him, and maybe Lewandowski sort of believed he was something else because the first season he was like 3 years younger, and he did a lot of those associative work. But like in reality, the best Lewandowski ever, it's him with Hansi Flick. Like that's when he's reached the top, and honestly, he does deserve that Ballon d'Or. I mean, he's that sort of player. So I'm glad that Flick actually is getting the best out of him because that's what we needed. Like at the end of the day, a goal scorer working, firing on all cylinders can be the difference between winning a title or not. Like those 14, 15, 16 goals that he can score, maybe more. It takes a lot into account.
Do we think so? Now that we've got 4 matches under our belt, right? Is anybody thinking that Lewandowski might not be Barcelona's top scorer this season?
Honestly, I feel like if Raphinha keeps up his form, he got a hat trick the other day. If he keeps up his form, I feel like Raphinha is more of a creator, but I could see him scoring a lot more goals this season. And I feel like even like Dani Olmo getting 2 goals in the 2 games that he played, like he's definitely up there, honestly.
Buga, any chance Lewandowski's not Barcelona's top scorer?
Nah. I think we're looking a little bit too far, but I do agree with Leah that I think that maybe Raphinha, Dani Olmo certainly. I think Dani Olmo is going to be a proper goal scoring like midfielder. I think that's the sort of player we're going to see from him this season. I think Raphinha as well can have a lot of goals to his name. He's a very balanced player in the sense that he will always have like, you know, the same number of goals as almost the same number of assists. And I think it just works perfectly overall, this balance. But Lewandowski, I think at the end of the day, he's the guy. He's going to be scoring the penalties. It seems like he scored a free kick last season as well, if I'm not wrong. So he's going to be that guy. And at the end of the those numbers, they just pad you up and he's going to be there with like maybe 5 difference on everybody else.
You're right. I do think it's going to be much more balanced this year. Lewandowski being the number 9, taking the penalties, I think will definitely play into it as well. One of the big things, and then I think this is my last talking point about the match, Barcelona getting in behind the defense now. That's a Hansi Flick thing. Xavi's mentality was very much possession, but Barcelona now, all of a sudden, we've got pace. We can get in behind. We're spreading out the defense. I think that makes me feel like it's going to be more opportunities for Raphinha, for Olmo, Pedri's not going to be anywhere near top goal scorers, but maybe Pedri gets 10 this season. You know, I think it's going to be spreading the wealth a little bit more than what we've seen in the last couple seasons.
Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, I just love how we have so much talked about Mbappe, Julian Alvarez, and it's just Lewandowski doing the job at the end of the day, you know? It's like, leave it to the pros.
Yeah.
Did anybody... Go ahead, Leah.
I feel like if you heard like Valladolid, like the manager came out and basically said, oh, we went in like to the Barcelona game the same way that we went into the Real Madrid game. The biggest difference is that Barcelona was able to deal with the low block. And that's the main difference there. So I feel like Barcelona need to get as many points as they possibly can until Real Madrid figure it out with Mbappe, because once that happens, that's going to be a whole issue in itself.
Yeah.
As positive as they try to be.
Yeah, we can sit here and gloat all we want, but it is inevitable that Mbappe is going to start scoring some goals, that he and Vinny are going to work stuff out. But in the meantime, I will chuckle at the compilations I see of Vinny and Mbappe arguing with each other. It's not getting long. I'll take that while it lasts, you know?
Yeah, I have here, before we actually move to that depth chart that we've been teasing for like
We're getting
15
there.
minutes now. I saw this tweet that they compile like different statements from all the managers of the rivals we faced, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Baraja from Valencia. He says, it's difficult to play against Barça on counterattacks. Valverde from Bilbao, we couldn't keep possession due to Barça's pressing. Perez from Rayo, keeping up with their pace is impossible. And Pesolano from Valladolid, Barça excels against deep line defenses. I think like this is what I wanted from Flick, you know, that energy, that work hard mentality, and the work is being done outside the field. It's not just like tactically he's trying to outrun, you know, teams in the field. No, he actually starts working before the games and starts planning there. He's trying to implement this philosophy, and that's what I think we've been lacking. And I just wanted that, you know, Barcelona to gain those values again, to be a competitive team. Because at the end of the day, like it or not, football has changed so much that right now the teams are physical. Like they're physical. You need to be top notch. You need to be at your best fitness wise in terms of levels and things like that. So Flick, he's doing a tremendous work. So honestly, I think at least so far, so good.